Johnny. Let's go to the phones again. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Rich.
Hello, Rich. How are you, sir? Long time no hear.
Yes, sir. Doing well. I can see how people get really upset in them school board meetings.
You're allowed to get upset, Rich. I mean, that's, part of the deal.
But not take it too far. But those school boards, they get to make up their own version of the truth, and they don't answer to anybody until election.
Well, Look, they don't know. They're not the school board members, the elected school board members. With all respect, Rich, they are not in there for the thousands of hours behind closed doors, so they don't know where all the money goes and who does what and the personnel stuff. They show up at the meetings, and if they have a question, they ask somebody in the administration who comes out and then answers the question, like a budget person or personnel, whatever, and they just go, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, but once something's said and nobody counters it, it's their version of the truth, when that could be so far from what actually happened.
That's why I've always said there should be an ombudsman or ombudswoman who's there sitting in on those private behind closed doors meetings so that the school board member will have somebody directly reporting to them on how the millions of dollars are being spent.
Yeah, because you'll see a packet passed in that meeting and not know what's in the packet.
Oh, yeah, they don't know. They have no clue.
Big problems in that packet, but it's approved or not approved, and then the public don't even really know what's in there.
Well, I mean, I've covered stuff. They have these moving allowances for administrators and sometimes health plans that pay $1 a year. Part of the package to attract talent, that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to...
Or the human relations packet, which they don't mention anything that's really happening in there. They just say, here's the packet, approve it or not approve it. And there could be all kinds of mistakes.
Yeah, so in other words, the fine details we're talking about, nobody knows.
Right.
School board members don't have a clue on that. They have no way of knowing any of that because there's nobody there to kind of watch it behind closed doors.
Unless they ask questions between meetings.
They ask questions and then they get the answers from the administrator who gives them whatever answer they want to give.
Right, that's my point exactly. And then the school board members, to me, their job is to ferret out the truth instead of just accept the answer.
Well, I mean, again, there's the Virginia governor's race where Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic candidate, I'm tired of parents telling teachers what to do. I mean, and my mother was a teacher. I'm very pro-teacher, but teachers are paid by parents. Parents pretty much they pay for the school district. They pay for the schools with their taxes, and the children belong to the parents. I mean, the children don't belong to the government. I mean, it's a terrible notion, I realize, Rich, but I mean, that's kind of the way this is.
That's why I love when you touch on subjects like this, because you're so learned about it. That makes it more interesting than what it would be with somebody with less knowledge.
Well, that's Civics 101, Rich. I mean, come on.
Everybody don't know that, though, Mr. Mitch.
What, do you think the government owns the kids?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your perspective on this and your understanding of it. That you know the school board makes up their own version of the truth, but and the administrators.
Actually,
what we find out in the public or in the news could be so far from what the really truth is. They're separated from it. They don't answer to nobody until election.
Yes, well, school boards are really at the mercy of the administrators to tell them whatever answers they give them.
Right, that's my point.
The school board members are not there behind closed doors for the thousands of hours. That's my point.
Right, exactly.
So, and of course, when they search for candidates, and there's pressures to, do diversity or whatever the case may be, I mean, before they hired the previous superintendent, Tim Smith, they had it down to like one person who happened to be I heard this in background. I wasn't here then, but there was an African-American candidate who was like the last person standing, and then they reopened the search. Well,
that's the other thing. They don't follow rules, and they're not. That's like our coach for high school football. There was 3 candidates being considered. They went through the whole entire process, and then the coach that we got was hired over those 3 candidates outside the process, and the board approved it. So, that's one thing, the administrators kind of do what they want, and it seems like to me the school board's in cahoots, and they shouldn't be. They're elected officials that they're supposed to represent the voters.
I can't speak to the details on that issue because I haven't studied that, but I'll take your word for it. But what happens with school boards, and I've covered this in other markets, somebody on the school board had a grandson or a son who didn't get enough playing time, whether it's football or basketball or whatever. And I covered a market where this guy had won 10 state championships, different state, in the lowest class, Division 5, whatever, 400 students or less, won 10 state championships. And he was teaching in the grade school. He wanted to teach in the high school. And his motion to do that was always denied because members of the school board were angry at him because their grandsons never got enough playing time. Believe me, this stuff happens, Rich.
Right
now. I mean, parents, grandparents, playing time of their sons and grandsons matter when it comes to whether those coaches want to get an advancement or a transfer. I watched it. Anyway, so there is plenty of pettiness in local school politics, trust me. All right, thanks, Rich. Appreciate the call.
Keep up the good works.
Well, thank you. And again, this...